Hi, good evening. Welcome to another Learn, Grow, Invest video. Today we're going to be going over the basics of budgeting. So this is a budgeting 101 session. We have Karen Clark, founder and CEO. Is CEO? I hope so. Of MyBudgetLeaf. She is just an amazing teacher as it relates to budgeting, understanding the basics, mastering your budget, getting everything that you need in place to do really well in that aspect. So it's our pleasure to have her here today. So she's going to take us through a presentation that just tells us everything that we need to know. So let me get started with our intro. So before I bring on Karen, just a little bit about our community. If this is your first time, we're a Bible-based investment community focused on financial literacy and education. We do free sessions like this all the time for our community. So if it's your first time here, follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to open with a brief word of prayer now. Lord, we thank you so much for today. Thank you that we can meet like this as a community. We pray, Lord, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be good stewards of the money that you've blessed us with. We pray for a great session in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so let me bring on Karen. Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Jermaine. I am doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for accepting our invitation. So before we get started, I wanted you just to say a little bit about yourself, help us, those who may be seeing you for the very first time, to share a little bit about, what I guess inspired you to start MyBudgetLeaf.
All right, I would love to. So, hello everyone. My name is Karen Clark. I am the creator and CEO, yes, of Budget Leaf. And today we're going to be talking about how to create a budget that sticks. So, a little bit about me. All right. So, first things first, I am a trained graphic artist. I'm a trained designer. I am a creative by trade, right? Now, if you're wondering, how is it that I am a creative person, but yet still here I am in front of you about to talk to you about money management? So, I would say that this passion or this business of Budget Leaf birthed from about 3 years ago, right? I was fresh out of college. I had my degree. I started living alone. I was renting. I was finally free, your independence and all of that. At that point in time, I thought I had my dream job. Now, the only issue I had was that even though I was making more than what my overheads were, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And I just could not understand why. The truth is, I did not know how to do a budget. I was not introduced, not in primary school, high school, basic school, or even college. And I just felt miserable, right? Um, I would say I have done it all as it pertains to budgeting. I have used apps, I have used Excel spreadsheets, but the only thing that got me to really take control of my finances was using the pen and the paper. Right. And from that method, I've decided, you know what, if I am having this problem, then probably there's other persons that's having this problem too. And then the thought of, how is it that I could not walk into a store and, find a book or a tool that could help me to budget and manage my money? So, Budget Leaf stemmed from me just having a really bad time managing my money. I went and I did research, I did experiments until I landed on Budget Leaf, or at least until I created Budget Leaf.
That's a great story. And I mean, we've been following you on social media for a while. And so I see you do, different presentations, different, types of audience, etc. I will talk about that a little bit more later.
Right.
So, I'm going to hand over to you now for you to start the session. If there are any questions, feel free to type it in the comments. We'll take them at the end, or do you prefer to take them as they come? Which do you prefer?
We can take all the questions at the end, but what I can say is this is going to be an interactive session. So what this means is I will be asking you guys questions, and I would love for you to answer by using your the mic and just speak, just so that you know we can talk. Also, if you do not already have a pen and paper or pencil and paper, I would suggest that you grab those right now because we are actually going to do a budget in this session. So it's going to be fun.
Okay. So based on how we're having the session, they won't be able to speak, but if
Okay,
they type it, I'll just go ahead and read it out. All right?
we can work with that. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Over to you.
Okay, awesome, guys. So, my first question is: have you ever created a budget? And I would love for you guys to just put that in the comments section. Let me know what was your experience creating a budget, whether it is that you have a budget right now or you do not have a budget, or I want to just get a feel of what's going on. So Jermaine, as the comments come in, you can just let me know what they are.
All right, will do.
And don't be shy, guys. If you have created a budget and it did not work, that is fine. Just let me know what's going on. If you have a budget right now and it is working out great for you, that is awesome. I'd also love to know, just what your situation is right now.
As I see one person said they tried to do a budget. Somebody else said no, they've never budgeted before. Um, I completely understand that person said they've never tried to budget before. It took me a while to get started as well. Rochelle says that she has a budget but finds it hard to stick to it. And
Hmm.
Chika said yes, he has a budget but he does not stick to it. So yeah.
Okay, so that's wonderful, guys. Welcome to the club. For those who have tried a budget and failed, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have failed so many times. All right. But here's the thing. This session, I am going to give you guys the basic understanding of what a budget is. And I do believe that once you understand exactly what your budget is supposed to do, I promise you, it's going to be so much easier for you to create a budget and stick to a budget. All right? So, with that said, here are my objectives. The first thing we're going to cover is money mindset. Reason being, because I want all of us to be on the same page, right? Then we are going to actually create a very easy 1, 2, 3 budget. We're going to talk about the importance of expense tracking. We're going to be talking about emergency fund, and I do have a free giveaway. I'm very excited about that. And then we're going to do some quick, question and answer, and we can just, have a little chat session right there. All good? So we can just dive right into the money mindset session. So I'd love for you guys to, just relax, and just think about your very first experience with money. All right, and I can share mine. In fact, I'd love to share two experiences. All right. So the first experience I'd love to share is from when I was in high school. I live with my dad, and my dad is a church going man. Every single Sunday, best believe he's going to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to get ready and I have to go to church. Now that's all nice and great, but my dad was a disciplined man, and I believe that a part of me living, or at least I believe that no, before I get to even there, so my dad is a disciplined man, right? And every single Sunday, religiously, I had to ensure that I gave offering at church. Now, this meant that I had to save, some coins from my lunch money and throw offering at church. Even on those days or during those weeks or those periods where all my dad gave me was just lunch money, because we had it rough growing up, even when he only gave me just bus fare to go to school, I still had to find creative ways Sunday morning to drop offering, or else my dad is going to be upset. All right. And I believe that I don't think he knew he was teaching me how to budget, because to be honest, I don't think he even understood how to budget. But uh, that ritual is one of the things that has helped me to now know how to manage my money. All right. So that's a positive experience for me. Another experience is, I remember as a younger kid living with my grandmother, right? And me and grandma would go on the road, and I distinctively remember every time we came back home, grandma would say, "Oh, if you put a handbag on the ground, it means you're not going to have any money." But then I'll always see my grandmother put her handbag on the ground. Of course, as a kid, I could not question that, but it just did not make any sense. Like, grandma, why are you saying that if your handbag on the ground, then you won't have any money, but yet still you're doing this, right? And you guys will understand why we're doing this exercise in a minute. But I'll just love for you guys to just, sit back and just think about what was your very first money experience, or a highlight of, a money experience. Is it that you remember mommy or daddy sending you to the shop and you're walking and you're thinking in your head, okay, I need to buy 1 pound of flour, 2 pound of rice, 3 pound of whatever it is. And then by the time you get to the shop, you completely forget what they sent you to buy. And then, you probably buy the wrong thing and you come back home and they're upset or whatever it is. If you're so willing, you can share in the comment section just what's your first money experience is. And, because these are the things that actually help to build our money mindset, right? So, money mindset. A money mindset is an overriding attitude that you have about your finances. It drives how you make key financial decisions every day, which can have a big impact on your ability to achieve your goals. All right. So, one of the things that we want to do is we're going to talk about money mindset and how we can change our limiting money mindset to a more positive money mindset. All right. So, here's the thing, right? Having a wealth mindset or a positive money mindset is a game changer. And the reason why I use the word wealth mindset is because I feel like we're at a point right now where we all want to build wealth, right? I feel like we just all want to be, better in life. Maybe it is that we're having financial struggles or whatever it is. So, a wealth mindset is basically derived from positive thinking, right? So, persons with a wealth mindset, they believe that if I can make money, then you can make money. If I can be prosperous, then you can be prosperous. If I can be happy, then you can be happy, and vice versa. It basically comes from a place of love. If that's a great word, right? But then we do have the opposite of a wealth mindset, which is a poverty mindset. Now, persons with a poverty mindset are persons that, they think about lack, or for a better word, bad mind, right? Persons that, they feel some type of way if they see somebody else succeeding, instead of thinking, oh, that person is living such a great life. They can afford probably luxury car, they can afford to travel. Wow, if they can do it, I can do it. That's a wealth mindset. But persons who are from a negative or a poverty mindset, they don't see things like that, right? So one of the things I'd like you guys to do, while we're going through this mindset session, is to just think about, what's your mindset? What's your mindset towards money? Do you have a wealth mindset, or do you have a poverty mindset? All right. So there are two things that you need to know about mindset. First things first, we all have a money blueprint. So remember before when I said to think about, just your first experience with the money. This is one of the things that help to build our money blueprint. So in other words, right? If you have 5 friends and your 5 friends are broke, guess what? You're going to be broke as well. But if you have 5 friends who are reading and they're investing, they're budgeting, they're entrepreneurs and they want to do great things, then it simply means that some of those assets is going to rub off on you. All right. So we all have a money blueprint that we pick up from the persons around us. Now, here is the great thing: your money mindset can be changed. So if you find yourself in a situation where your thinking is limited, or you might feel stressed out about money, or you might feel negative about money, understand that that mindset can be changed. You're not stuck. That mindset can be changed, and we're going to talk about that. So, for example, some of the limiting money beliefs that we might have is, I'm just not good with money. If that's something that you're telling yourself, that's more of a lack. Instead of thinking that you're not good with money, how about thinking, I can learn and use knowledge about money every single day, right? Instead of thinking that money is there to spend, how about thinking, the money I don't spend make me rich, which is actually factual, right? Another one is, it's selfish to want a lot of money. You can spin that to say, money reflect my values, because think about it, right? If you are genuinely a good person at heart right now, if you're someone that you like to give back, if you are someone that will give back to charity, or anything good, if it means that you get $1 million tomorrow, don't you think that good that you have right now is just going to be even better? So, for example, if you are making $100,000, and out of that money, you probably, when you're driving on the road, they might give a homeless man, or those young men that wipe the car glass, might give them some money, or whatever it is. It simply means that if you get more money, you can actually bless more people. So we have to start thinking about money in a positive light, right? And I understand that for the vast majority of us, money is not something that was taught. Our parents probably did not even talk about money outside of the fact that money is stressful. So, even if it's a case where you do have these limiting mindset or these limiting money beliefs, understand that with work, of course, it's not going to be easy, but with work, you can actually change to a more positive or prosperous mindset. Right? So hopefully with that explanation, you guys are in a better place as it pertains to just money in general. All right? Jermaine, just checking in. Is there any questions, or did anyone share their experience with their first experience with money?
No questions, but a few persons are sharing their experiences.
I'd love to hear
So,
that.
Tamisha said that the money experience that stood out for her was being a child and getting money from relatives to go and buy phone cards. That was the thing that stood out for her.
Mm-hmm.
Emily said that when she was in high school and needed sneakers for PE, her parents couldn't afford it, and so she pretty much had to save for a few months, and then she was able to purchase it.
Right.
Henika is saying that she remembered that a long time ago. I won't age her by stating the year, but she was able to use some money to start her first savings account, and that's how she was able to build on the saving habit.
Right.
And she was able to purchase her first car cash. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's some of the feedback we've gotten so far.
Okay, that's great. So another thing I wanted to share was, I remember my first time living alone. I when I just, felt like I was a bigger man, start living for my own, push my own key, all of those wonderful things. And I remember the first time I went grocery shopping, right? Of course, I'm from an extended family. So whenever mommy go to buy groceries, she always buy everything in three, because there's lots of kids in the house. So I used to go grocery shopping and just shop just like how mommy shop. And what I did not realize at that time is the fact that I was shopping like my parents, but they were shopping for the whole entire house. I live alone. I don't need to buy everything in trees. So, sometimes you realize that just based on the environment you're in, there's certain things that rub off. This might be good and this might be bad. But there comes a time where you really have to sit down and really evaluate, are these habits serving me? Are
Yeah.
these mindsets really serving me? Right? So let us move into the meat of the matter. What is a budget? Right? And I know that for many persons and for me at one point, you always hear, oh, you need to have a budget. You need to create a budget. But fundamentally, what is even a budget? Because I remember my first time when I wanted to really manage the little enough I was getting, and I remember someone had suggested using an Excel spreadsheet, and I was so happy because every month I would pull up the Excel spreadsheet on my desktop, and I would it was one of those that was automated. So it would have all the expenses, and all you had to do was just put in what you think your expenses were. And I did exactly that. So I felt so happy putting in my income and putting in what I thought my expenses were. And I felt good to say that, yeah, man, my budget. But then a week or two after, the money gone. And I just could not understand. I could not make a connection. But my budget, so it just it just wasn't adding up. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I also remember trying out so many apps back in the day, and as soon as I opened the app, they started asking me a whole bunch of financial questions that I did not understand. I had no clue what they were asking me about, and I felt frustrated. I remember reading a book called The Compound Effect. Now, if anybody here, if you are a reader, I 100% recommend reading that book, right? But I'll tell you why in a little bit. So, what is a budget really? A budget is a plan for your money. That's it. A budget is simply a plan. And you have some persons that they will plan for the week, plan for the day, plan for the month, plan for the year. But I would always recommend persons to at least plan for the month to come. Right? So your budget is a plan. So just like how you would plan your day with all the tasks that you want to do, or just like how you would plan your route when you're going to work. Instead of driving on toll road, you probably drive on Mandela, or you probably drive wherever it is to skip out traffic. It's similar. It's something similar. It's almost the same thing, right? So simply put, a budget is a plan. So hopefully you don't feel too stressed out to know that you are simply planning for your money. Now here's the thing, guys. Sometimes you plan and it doesn't go according to plan. That is fine. You just want to know that you have an idea of where you want to spend your money, because your budget for this month might be completely different for your budget for next month. But once you have an understanding of what your basic expenses are, you should be good to go. All right. So if you already have your pen and paper, we are going to dive right into this exercise where we are going to create a simple budget that sticks. I'll give you guys like 3 seconds just for you to get prepared. Are there any comments, Jermaine?
None. Romain shared his story as well. In grade three, he would save with his friends, and I think Henika was saying the author for the book that you mentioned, Compound Effect. I think it's Darren Hardy.
Yes,
And yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm going to share the reason. I soon share the reason why I recommend that book and how that book have even helped me to. It's because of that book. That's why Budget Leaf is a business right now. So I'll soon tell the guys why.
Okay. And there's another comment from Facebook. I'm sorry I can't see the person's name right now. They were saying when they were growing up, anyone who gave them or their siblings money, their mother would take that money and plant something for them with it. Their mother is a farmer, so that
Oh,
they, their mother taught them how to invest money. So Yeah, great story there.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we are going to jump into the activity. All right. So the first thing I would love for you guys to do at the top of your paper, just write down what your monthly income is. So if you have a 9 to 5, what you'll do is just write down what your take home money is. So after all the taxes has come out and all of that, just write down how much money you actually get to take home at at the end of the month. If you're paid bi-weekly, just total your income and just write it down for the month. It's usually easier to calculate for the month because most of our bills are paid monthly. So it makes sense to just do a monthly budget, especially as a beginner. I feel like as you get into the hang of creating budgets, then you can get as wild and as creative as you please. But for the purpose of this exercise, just write down what your monthly income is. Um, if you are an entrepreneur and you do not have a steady stream of income, what I would say is you can write down average your average income. So if you make 50,000 one month, 60 one month, 50 the other month, 40 the other month, 50, then the average would have been 50. You can just calculate it like that just for the sake of the exercise. If you have a 9 to 5 and you do have a business, for the sake of this exercise, I would say just work with your 9 to 5 income. If you have any stable income at all, just work with your stable income because every month it's likely to be the same. All right. So once you guys have done that, we are going to move into step 2. So then we're going to write down all our fixed expenses. So, fixed expenses are expenses that, as the name states, it's fixed. These are expenses that you have to pay month after month after month after month. So, this can be your mortgage, this can be your rent, this can be your utility bill, this can be a loan payment, this can be probably if you, for example, internet, whatever it is that you pay on a monthly basis, that is relatively the same money every single month, just write that down there. So just like the example here, you have electricity, and on the other side you have what you actually pay. Just stack it down because what you want to do is to get an idea of what your overheads are right now. So if you have never done this before, this is a great exercise for you to just get an understanding of what is going on. All right, so we are writing down all our fixed expenses. So I'll just give you guys some time to just write that down. Remember, so for example, so for persons, if you are living with your parents, lucky, and you do not have any fixed expenses, lucky, then you can just skip this part. Or what you can do is if there are things that you find yourself spending on that is close to a fixed expenses, then you can just write that down. That'll be good too. Remember that fixed expenses are expenses that you pay month after month. This can be your mortgage, your rent, light bill, water bill, any of that. So we're going to move on to step number 3. And what we're doing here is we are writing down all of our flexible expenses. Now, what you guys would realize here, I am using some very basic terminology just so that you guys can just get an understanding. So when you say flexible, flexible expenses, these are expenses that basically change month to month. So for example, and these are expenses that you have control over. So entertainment, outside open back now, right? So for persons who are actually going out to the movies or whatever it is, that will be classified as expenses, as flexible expenses. There's also groceries, there's also clothing, there's also gifts. So, for example, if you are, when I say gifts, I mean, to make it easier on you guys, let us use the period from February 25th to March 25th. So when you're writing down your expenses, just think back from February to March, just to make it easier on you guys. So if you had a friend who had a birthday in February or March, then you can just write that down as just, write down that expenses as a gift. Groceries can be when you go to the supermarket or when you go to the wholesale. What you can choose to do is to separate your eating out restaurant expense separate from your grocery bill, because what we often do is we go to the supermarkets and we buy a whole bunch of food, stock up our kitchen, and then we still go out and eat and buy food on the road. So we want to have those separate so that we can see exactly what we're spending on groceries and what we're spending on eating out. All right, so I'll just give you guys some time to just think about that and write it down. Are there any comments, Remin?
No, none that I'm seeing right now.
Okay, wonderful. All right, guys. So this is the exciting part. So what we're going to do is we are going to create our very first zero base budget. What does this mean? It means that you are going to add all your fixed expenses, add all your flexible expenses, add those together and subtract that total number from your income. The goal here is to get zero. Reason being, you want to ensure that the money you have coming in, it's the same amount of money you have going out to pay your bills and all of that. Right? So once again, total all your expenses and subtract that total from your monthly income. The goal is to get a zero. If you get a positive number, right? So let's say that your income is $50,000 and all your expenses for the month comes up to like $40,000. If you get $10,000 afterwards, this means that this $10,000 can go towards a savings account, it can go towards investing, it can go towards paying yourself first, right? But however, if you do this exercise and you get a negative number, my friend, like I did the first time I did this, it means that you are potentially running yourself into debt. Reason being, you are spending more than you're earning. So remember I had spoke about the compound effect. So throughout my period of self-development, I stumbled on this great book called The Compound Effect. I was struggling with my habits, I was struggling with my budget, I was struggling even my finances, because yes, I was working, but I wanted to earn more money. I just there's just like so many things going on. And my mentor at the time told me to read The Compound Effect. I'm going to be honest, guys, I do not love to read. I do not love to read. But at that point in time, she challenged me. Karen, just read The Compound Effect. Like, what do you have to lose? Whatever you're doing right now obviously isn't working. This book is going to give you some new knowledge. What do you have to lose? Upon reading The Compound Effect, one of the things that the author made clear is that in order for you to be better with your money, you have to know where your money is going. All right. So, simply put, when you're going to the gym, all right, one of the first things that they allow you to do is to weigh yourself. Them weigh you, them take a measurement, because they want to know where you are right now to track your progress over the period, right? So you guys can put in the comment section, if you're willing, what your final numbers are, or you can put zero, you can put positive, or you can put negative. And because we want to see exactly where you are right now, so that I can give you a solution, right?
Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's do the positive, negative, or zero.
Right. So you don't have to actually
People
put the
don't tell us
actual
how much money. Yeah,
right. Just put in,
yeah,
if you do get a zero, just put the zero to say that yes, whatever is coming in is going out. If you are in the negative side, just put a negative. If you're in the positive side, just put a positive, just so that we can just test the waters.
yeah. Not seeing anything so far. Usually it takes a while for those to come in. Well, Rochelle said positive. That's good. Emily said positive. That's good.
That's wonderful. The very first time I did this exercise, I was talking about the story with the book, right? So in the book, it said that you need to track your expenses just to see where it was going on, where it was going. And I won't lie to you guys, it took me 3 months to track 1 month of expenses properly, because I would start tracking and I would lose the paper that I was tracking on, or I would start tracking and lose interest. But then at the end of the month, still have no money, have no budget, still feeling stressed, still feeling frustrated. And the first month I decided to track my money properly, I learned so much things about myself. I was spending $43,000 on food, and this included both groceries and eating out. Now, if you think about it, if I live alone, I don't got no kids, I'm currently single at the time, how is it that I'm spending all of $43,000 on food? It means that I was stocking up my kitchen month after month after month after month
And
and
still
still
eating
eating
out.
out.
Yep, yep.
But then the thing about it is, the reason I was eating out was because of my schedule at work. I had to go to work really early and I come home late. So I'd buy breakfast, I'd buy lunch, and I would buy dinner. The thing is that realization of me doing grocery shopping the way how my mom did it, I realized that after doing this exercise, like, Karen, why are you spending so much money on groceries and you don't even cook?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? And then even after doing that exercise, I got a negative $15,000, which isn't bad at that time based on my income and everything. But I feel like for me, the biggest question was, where did $15,000 even now come from?
yeah.
I was spending
It
more
has
than
to
what
be
I was saving.
financed some way. So if you're over budget, as you said, that's likely going to lead to debt, because if you're over your budget, you're going to have to pay for that from somewhere. So
From
whether
somewhere.
credit card or something else.
Exactly. So it simply means that, okay, where was this money coming from? Where was the bulk of my money even going? And that was just the big realization that, okay, so something is really wrong. How are the comments looking?
Everyone is positive except for Derby Country said really negative. Not just negative, but
But
really
really
negative.
negative.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So hopefully, Derby, in the rest of the presentation, you should find some way to get
yeah,
onto the positive side.
yeah. That Derby had actually had a good idea. Said every month he could put that 15,000 into a stock. That's yeah.
Exactly.
That's a great idea.
It means that once you do your zero-based budget, remember, if you have a zero at the end, it means that everything that is coming in, it's going out the way how well, probably not the way how you want it to, but it means that you have some form of control. All right. If you have a positive number, it means you can save, you can start investing, you can start a business. There should be no excuse at this point. But if you have a negative number, you are running yourself into debt and you need to take control.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, guys. So I just want to say congrats for other persons who said they've tried a budget and the budget never worked or whatever it is. You just did your very first budget. Remember, guys, your budget is creating a plan for your money. So, based on what you have on your paper there, if you followed my instructions and you basically calculated from the 25th of February to the 25th of March, what you have just done was to basically analyze your last month's paycheck, right? Have an understanding of where last month's paycheck went. But here is the thing: I'm 100% sure that what you have on your paper there is probably incorrect. You want to know why? If you were to go through your bank statement might say you probably make a one purchase that you did not remember that you made and you never write it down. Or if you're someone that spend cash, cash is almost one of the hardest things to track because you probably give somebody $1,000 and you did not remember. So feel great about having a positive number, but my challenge to you is go back through your financial statements from January. From January. Comb through your financial statement and every single purchase that you make, give it a expense category and write it down. So if, for example, you bought gas or tire or whatever it is for your car, that will go on the car expenses. If you have kids, whatever it is you have, whatever money you spend towards your kids, that goes on the kids expenses. Healthcare, savings, investment, personal care, skin care, hair care. The expenses can be whatever you choose based on your lifestyle. But I challenge you, categorize for January, February, and March. And then look and see exactly what is going on. And it will reveal so much about yourself, right? So I just want to say again, guys, congrats. This is your very first budget. Hopefully it was enlightening. Hopefully you can hopefully with this exercise you can see where you have gone wrong and where you can do things better. All right. Before I continue, Jermaine, is there any comments or anything?
Uh, Emily saying, she tries to make savings a part of her budget, but it doesn't always go according to plan.
I am really glad that you said that, Emily, because there are two unbreakable rules when it comes on to budgeting. Now, each budget coach or financial advisor will have their preference, but for me, number one is to pay yourself first. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard that before, pay yourself first. But what does that even mean? Well, how I would put it is pay yourself first is almost like paying future you. Pay you 10 years from now. Pay you 20 years from now. And that might look like retirement. That might look like an emergency fund. That might look like, whatever personal financial goals that you may have. That might even look like investing, right? Just ensure that the money you have coming in right now, you are paying future you. Second thing is never spend more than you make, right? Because remember, if you are spending more than you're making, it simply means that you are running yourself into debt, right? So, one of the things I always love to tell my clients is this: if you're making $50,000 right now and you can comfortably live on $50,000 right now, while you're doing that, you're also investing, you have your business, and you're working on multiple streams of income. If you can live on 50,000, if you start making 50 million tomorrow, it's going to be easier to manage that. Because if you can't manage $50,000 right now, how are you going to manage 500,000 or 1 million or 2 million? If you can't live on what you're making right now, making more money is not going to solve the problem. Because at this point, money is not your issue. Your issue is more about probably your mindset or your habits. You guys following? You guys understand what I'm saying?
Anika saying she probably paying herself too much.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, I don't think so either. So I was saying no such thing.
I exactly, because you do have persons out there that's not paying themselves at all. But I mean, if you can live on the bare minimum to ensure that future you is good, like good, that's not bad. Because one of the things when you start to implement some of the things I'm about to talk about, you'd realize that the money you're spending right now, or the things you're spending your money on right now, they're not needs. You don't need these things. You know, what kind of sacrifices or what can you cut back on right now to ensure that the next 5 or 10 years you can retire comfortably? All right. So one of the things I would love for you guys to understand is that when it comes on to building a personal budget, just let that cameraman drive first. When it comes on to building a personal budget, it's not a one size fits all. My budget would look different from your budget. Everyone's budget looks differently because our lifestyles are different, our incomes are different, our priorities are different, right? But then don't feel like you can only create a personal budget alone. You can create a wide variety of budgets. So for example, if you only want to create a budget for entertainment and eating out, you can. If you want to create a budget for your business or a budget for travel, you can, while you can budget everything. But what I'll say is, if you are a beginner and you are just starting out, what I'll say is just do the bare minimum. You can, every month you can do the same zero-based budget exercise just to see exactly what's going on. Because once again, when you go to the doctor, before the doctor prescribe anything, the doctor first have to test it to see where you are. So doing that zero-based budget exercise is basically to help you to see exactly where you are financially, what's going on with your budget, right? Once you see now what's going on, it's easier for you to say, okay, fine, let me stop doing this and start doing that. Instead of spending this right here, let me do that here instead. It's easier for you to basically plan and budget, right? So just remember, what you have to think about is your expenses minus your income equals savings. In When it comes on to your zero-based budget, expenses minus income equals savings. So if it means that you're in the negative, what are you saving? There are different types. Just let the car park pause. There are different types of budget method. There is the zero-based budget. There is the 50-30-20 method. And there's so many methods. You can legit go out there and Google it. But as I say, if you are a beginner and you want to do this thing right, do not stress about the other methods right now. Just get the basics down first, and then you can slowly add and build and get as creative as you would like. So this is my safe haven. I love the idea of expense tracking. I love the idea of expense tracking. And part of the reason is because one, it helps you to be disciplined. Two, it helps to show you exactly where your money is going. Because as I said, even though we did this exercise, a lot of what you did was just, you're just assuming, you're just estimating that your man must spend there. So, but if you were to really sit down and track all your expenses for the month, and I challenge you again, you can either track from the day you get paid or the first day of the month. I would suggest to track from the day you get paid. So if you get paid on the 25th, okay, fine. From your wake up, transportation, food, if you lend your sister $1,000, write it down. You want to have an idea of exactly what is going on. This might be challenging for some persons, but just don't overthink it, right? If you skip a day, don't tell yourself, okay, I skipped 2 days, so next month I'll track. No. Even if you skip a day or two, just continue. If you skip a week, just continue. Because any information is better than no information. Even if you skip a day and you were to look at all the expenses and you do your calculations, you would see where the holes are in your budget. You will see where you're basically wasting money. or where you should be allocating more money towards certain things. So for me, expense tracking has really changed my life. And it's after reading the compound effect and actually getting a random book and a pencil, and I was writing down day after day. In fact, it wasn't even a book, it was like a random paper. And I would lose the paper, or the paper would get wet, or the paper would get crushed. And I was like, Karen, you are a designer, just create a book for the month that have all the tables and everything looking nice and fancy, so that it's easier for you to just enter in each figure. All right. And that was how Budget Leaf started. Budget Leaf started from my frustration of just trying to keep track of what's going on. I created that book at the time I was working at the Gleaner. And I remember, my coworkers would see me day after day just writing down, calculating, being frustrated. And they're like, Karen, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to figure out my budget. And the more they see me doing it, and they're like, but wait, I need one of that because I'm having money problems. And I remember Budget Leaf exploded in the office to the point where the Gleaner did an article on me. And then after that, I went on to doing interviews with the TV, and it Budget Leaf blew out of my wildest dreams, because Budget Leaf did not start off as being a business. It was more like a happy accident. I had a problem. I solved that problem for myself, and then persons saw that and wanted to basically purchase a book. So I would suggest to anybody, track your expenses with paper first. And the reason being is, you have to be present first of all. You have to make a decision to sit down, get a book, whether it be a Budget Leaf book, a piece of paper, a random book, or whatever it is, and you are writing down from the day that you're tracking, the item that you purchase, the location you purchase that item at. You are tracking if you are spending within your needs or your want. So, for example, every purchase you make, ask yourself, is this a need or is this a want? If this is a want, you ask yourself, okay, I don't want this. Can I put this money in an investment to pay future me? If it's a need, by all means, go ahead and purchase it. All right. But and then another thing you got to track is if you're spending cash or card, because the more you swipe your card, there's taxes on that, and the banks will charge you and all of that. So you just basically want to get an understanding of what's going on. Once you do this for a month, it's going to reveal so much about yourself. It's going to reveal your habits, your mindset. Like, I promise you guys, it's going to be worth it. Um, Another thing I always suggest to my clients is that they should track their expenses for 3 months using the method of the pencil and paper. And the reason being is, month one, you're going to see all the craziness that you have been doing. By month two, you're going to realize that just by being aware of what's going on, you start making different spending decisions. By month three, I promise you guys that you're going to have a budget that you can work with. You're going to have a full understanding of what your bad spending habits are, and the beautiful thing about this is, because you're the one that's doing it, this will then become a habit. After 3 months, you can choose to use an Excel spreadsheet, or you can choose to use an app, or you can still continue using the paper. It really comes back down to you and what is more accessible to you and what is easier for you. Understand that your budget shouldn't be difficult. It's your money. You should spend it the way how you want to spend it. Just ensure you're spending it within reason. It shouldn't be something that is stressing you out. In fact, I promise you guys, once you have a budget that is, to your liking or to your lifestyle, you start sleeping better instantly. You start sleeping better instantly. So I would suggest everybody to track their expenses, especially if you want to find the money to invest, or you want to find the money to start a business. Start with what's going on here. Before you go ask somebody for money, learn how to work with what you have. If you know that you can live or you can manage $50,000, making more money would be easy. Because if you don't know where your $50,000 is going and you have a business and your business is making $100,000 or whatever it is, you're going to be just as clueless and you're going to be even more stressed than before. So once again, my recommendation, track your expenses. Like track your expenses. All right. So one other things that I usually love to put in my workshops is the importance of an emergency fund. Guys, I believe that 2020 should have proven to all of us that anything can happen and that an emergency fund is beyond important. For me personally, one of the things that I am grateful for is the fact that I fixed my money problem almost 2 years before COVID, because when COVID hit and I lost my job, it was okay. All right, so now I have no income. Even though I'm a designer, it means having to formalize that business, get clients, and all of that, which took some time. I did not stress and I did not panic because I had an emergency fund. I had 1 year emergency fund built out. All right. So now, what is an emergency fund? You're probably wondering. As the name suggests, an emergency fund is money for emergencies. Guys, if it's a case where you are investing, you probably wouldn't want to liquidate your assets because of an emergency. You want to ensure that you have an emergency fund separate from all your other savings accounts or whatever it is. Your emergency fund is for emergencies, and only you can dictate what an emergency is. So, for example, hospitalization, accidents, probably something happened to your vehicle or whatever it is. You are the one that can decide what your emergency is. So if you decide that your emergency fund is, the stuff I've listed before, if you feel hungry or you feel for something nice, you're not going to touch your emergency fund because that is not an emergency. Right? So these are some of the things that you need to consider as it pertains to your emergency fund. I remember the very first time I calculated my emergency fund. Right? So let me give you guys some backstory. At this point in time, I was, figuring out the money situation. Budget leaf had exploded, and I had the 9 to 5. At this point, I wanted to be a full-fledged entrepreneur. I wanted to, just be my own boss. At that point in time, it wasn't really work from home. It was just did not want to be in office, right? And I was like, okay, fine. You know what? Emergency fund. I am going to start saving from now so that if I do walk into the office today and somebody get me upset, or you know how it go when you're working with people, you always have that one person that gets you upset. I was like, you know what? If I decide to walk off this job tomorrow, I should be good, guys. So the first time I calculated my emergency fund, it humbled me 100%, because, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. Your emergency fund is either 3 months worth of living expenses, or 6 months worth of living expenses, or 1 year worth of living expenses, or any amount. At that point in time, I wanted to save at least 6 months worth of living expenses. But the thing about it is, this savings or whatever I would save, at that point in time, I could have only saved like $5,000 every month because I was getting paid monthly. And after I took out, all my bills and paid everything and whatever, I had like, I had like more than $5,000. But the thought process was, listen, minimum payment was $5,000. If 1 month I have 20 or whatever it is, I'll pay more, but minimum $5,000. So I sat down and I did my calculations, and I was like, okay, fine. When I calculated what 6 months worth of living expenses were, and I was like, okay, if I was really supposed to put down the bare minimum $5,000 to save this amount of money, it would have taken me like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years in this job that just want to leave. And I was like, but I cannot sit here for 2 more years. And it humbled me because what this meant was I need additional income to, help me to save. I need to cut back on all unnecessary expenses because my pain point was I wanted to leave this job. I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm a designer. I want to have my own business. I want to be a, I want my freedom. 2 more years, 2 more years felt like a prison sentence, to be honest. So that was one of my driving forces to really sit back. No more parties, no more eating out. Just I completely stripped my lifestyle back because when I really stopped and I thought about what was important to me, my mental health and all of that, my current lifestyle just it wasn't giving what it was supposed to be giving. So guys, if you do not already have an emergency fund, if you have never thought about an emergency fund, if you have never calculated an emergency fund, let me invite you guys to think about it, right? So I actually have a free emergency fund calculator and savings plan for you guys that you can sit down, you can write out whatever your budget is like on a monthly basis, and then it will help you to basically calculate what your 3 months or 6 months or 1 year emergency fund is. But guys, let me tell you, the more money you have in your emergency fund, the better, because I don't know if you guys know about Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong, right? If you believe that you're in a situation where you're not making enough money to save for your emergency fund, you probably need an emergency fund because if you're already not making enough, and let's say you were supposed to lose your job tomorrow, what are you going to do? So, what can you cut out of your current lifestyle right now that can help you to push money into your emergency fund? All right. Your emergency fund should be stored in a bank account that you have little to no access to, meaning you should not have a card where you can just go and swipe and draw out money. No, you should have little to no access to this bank account because, I mean, you can get tempted. As I said, Friday night you probably feel for something nice, Saturday night you want something nice, Sunday morning you want something nice. So you have to give yourself limits as it pertains to your emergency fund. And once again, the more money you have in your emergency fund, the better. So there's supposed to be a link that Jermaine would have shared with you guys. You can just click that link, go to my website, download the emergency fund, and start saving.
Yeah, I shared the link.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, with that, guys, I know I've shared a whole lot. Hopefully, I was entertaining. Hopefully, you guys have learned something. But if you have any questions, let me hear them. I am willing to answer as long as I can.
All right. Thank you so much. That was a very, very good session. I'm going to share the links in the description of the video soon. And once you're subscribed to our mailing list, I'm going to send you a link to the calculator and like the highlights from the session. So you can look out for that. Henika said she loved the session. Um, Tiffany is actually in our Telegram group saying that she loved the session as well. And yeah, I'm not seeing any questions, guys. Please take advantage of the expertise that you have in Karen right now. We don't know if we'll be able to get her to come again on a Saturday. So ask her right now. So let me just wait a minute or two.
All right. While we're waiting, one other things I would love everybody to do, if I've said anything at all that has helped to impact you or something that has helped to, give you some form of knowledge, if you have any takeaway, if I've impacted you any way at all, I would love for you guys to fill out the evaluation form that's also in the link, because what this will do is help me to perfect my craft of doing this presentation, and help to give me motivation. But at the same time, I just want you guys just give me your review, so that I can make my sessions better. So I'd greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, just share that link as well in the chat. Let me go and post it on Facebook as well. All right, so there is a question from Shante. She's asking, what about inflation and the emergency fund? How do you factor in inflation?
Who child, who child, who child. What I'll say is, when it comes on to that, if you can find an account that can actually give you interest, then that is great. I would suggest that you go to all banks and just ask some questions and find whatever um plan that's best for you. Because I mean we can't control inflation, right? So if you can find an account that you can actually gain interest on the money that you're saving, that would be great.
Okay, I think I messed up that part there. So I just shared the link on Facebook. Let me know if that works because I copied it from Outlook and I think didn't come over okay. So what I'll just add to what Karen just said. So as we go through, usually the inflation numbers that we get is, I would like to think of it as historical, meaning we may get the current rate of inflation based on maybe data from last month or last few months. And the number that we see for inflation is typically not the same for the different types of products and services. Not if the rate of inflation is 7% or 10%, it doesn't mean that everything is going to increase by that amount. Some are more, some are less. So I mean, food is one of those things that we know that is just, it's not just 5 to 10% per year. It's much more than that. So when you're building your emergency fund, I don't think you necessarily need to be overly concerned about inflation because there are other things that we do in terms of investing. An emergency fund is just in case something happens that's unplanned, I have some extra money. It's usually 3 to 6 months because that should be enough time to come up with a plan B for additional income. So the expectation is if I lose my job, I should be able to replace the job in 3 to 6 months. If in 6 months you can't find a job, then that's a different story. Maybe you're in the wrong field, maybe it's something that you need to kind of pivot what you're looking for, etc. But the emergency fund hopefully will not be depleted before you find another source of income or that emergency situation has changed. The
Right.
nature of the emergency will vary, and some emergencies, for example, if it's a health-based emergency, your entire fund can be wiped out in that you had planned for 3 to 6 months. So it's really, it varies. Just understand that it's not something that you want to leave static. What I actually do, and Karen might not agree with this, but I don't keep my entire emergency fund in cash because of that same concern about inflation. So I may keep 1 month or 1 month or 2 month in cash, but the rest I'm investing. And the risk I take there is that maybe when I'm ready for the money, I can't get it same day. I have to wait 2 days to cash out. Or if I need the money on a Saturday, the market is closed, I have to wait until Monday. And then if I sell those shares, I'm not getting it till Wednesday. That is a risk, sure. The way that I compensate for that risk is that I ensure that my credit card is paid in full each month, so that now the credit card serves as the thing that gets me through the weekend if
Mm-hmm.
it is that I need something, and then I can just sell those shares on Monday. By Wednesday, I'll get that money. I can repay the credit card bill at that point. So I don't keep everything in cash now. If you're a complete beginner, I wouldn't get overly technical about it. Just put the money down and you'll be fine. But when you start to get a little bit more experienced, you may just be thinking about that cash sitting there. You're not getting any returns on it, the bank just lending it out to anybody. And so you may just kind of tweak that a little bit. And the truth is, and I say this openly, I thankfully have family and friends. So even Karen, I can say, hey, Karen, lend me some money, right? Because I'm in a jam. Lend me some money until X time. No, you want to take personal loans very seriously, take them very, it's not something you're gonna rush to do.
Right.
But again, if it's an emergency, you're thinking, okay, what can I do right now? Now, if people can't trust you to pay back money, because maybe you borrow
Let's
$5,000, but
see
you never
that.
pay it back, you're not gonna get 50 if you didn't pay back the five. But those things I think about too, and they help to comfort me in terms of thinking about mitigation against things that I can't plan for. Right. So hopefully that was helpful. I said a lot there, but yeah.
And what you said was really good because, and these conversations are so important because what you find is that each person have a different method as to how they would go about, saving their emergency fund or just their finances overall. I know that somebody else, another money coach that I I follow all the time, what she would have recommended is, you can have two emergency fund, and that two emergency fund, one is probably like for you know an emergency here or there, and then you have another emergency fund that's like your dead last money that you're just not going to touch unless like you definitely really have to. But if you are a beginner, just do not concern yourself with all of what's going on right now. You just want to ensure that you can manage what's going on with you before you can start taking in all these different kind of information, because you don't want to feel overwhelmed. You just want to have some form of control. Once you have your budget and you start to, get the habit of tracking and the habit of spending properly, and you're saving, and then you can start investing, you can then slowly, increase your risk. But as a beginner, you just want to manage what you're making right now.
Yeah. And so there's a comment in the chat from Derby County, which says that investing in stocks is so underrated. And that is true. Investing in general is underrated. And I mean, one of the things they're saying is that people became millionaires off investing. And that, so here's the interesting thing about it. Persons becoming millionaires from investing is not as common as you think. And so it is definitely good to know of those stories. And the thing is, as a beginner, if you think too much about becoming a millionaire, to when investing, you may skip steps, you may rush to do certain things. And so for those who are beginners here, I just want to say, even though I fully agree what Derby County shared, people have been doing extremely well off investing. I'm definitely one of those persons who I'd say we're doing fairly well. For a beginner, you want to put these simple steps in place, because March 2020, everything was going well, and then one day everything just kind of
And
turned
everything just
upside
collapses.
down.
Yep.
So I mean, the reason why we do these things like building an emergency fund is that we don't know what tomorrow holds. Monday morning could come and for some reason the stock exchange does not open. There is some limitation, something down, like something could happen, and we don't have the chance to immediately sell what we would have bought. And so there's always a period of risk. For you to get to a point of making millions, there is some waiting period. And so during that period, there's obvious and clear risk. And for those who do not have the contingencies to mitigate that risk, should it not work out the way they expect, that's where the emergency fund comes in. That's where the budgeting comes in. That's where living within your means come in, and things like that. So once you have those things in place, then invest as much as you can, as often as you can. And that's why we do sessions like this to help you get those things done. um so yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I think that Henika was saying that she started building her emergency fund via a credit union account, and she's thinking of investing some of those funds. Yeah, I would say, I mean, whatever amount you're feeling comfortable with having saved as an emergency fund, a credit union account is excellent because then it's not going to be easily accessible via a card or anything like that. So at least it's there, and it should at least be better interest than the bank account. But you definitely, Henika, you should start investing by now. You've been a part of our community for a few months. I hope you're investing. And let's see some other comments here. Silver Gray saying paying in parts before and after your statement date. I think they're referring to the credit card helps as well. The important thing is that you just want to pay the statement balance in full before the statement date, before on, and you should be fine. Okay, I think there's a question here for you. Okay, most savings accounts offer very low interest rates for the emergency fund. Is it advisable to hold funds purely in cash, which would be readily available, or to invest in stocks? I think Roxy is saying I've answered it already, but Karen, I think maybe if you have anything to add for that.
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, Henika is saying she is investing. That's good. All right, cool. So guys, if you're watching this on the replay and you have questions for Karen, feel free to post them. Send her a DM on Instagram, and check her out on YouTube as well. There is a Budget Leaf YouTube channel. We are subscribed to it. So yeah. And I think we have some other links that we'll share. So we have website, MyBudgetLeaf.com. There is the emergency fund calculator that we're going to share. There's a workbook that's in the Budget Leaf, My Budget Leaf shop, and then there's a link to our Instagram page that we're going to share. I think there's another question for you from Mish. Mish is asking, what's your take on investing in mutual funds?
So I would say to send me a message and I'll answer that. And the reason for that is I usually love to keep my sessions just mostly focused around budgeting because that's what the brand is really about. But if you want me to give my opinion, you can just send me a message one off. Another thing that I wanted to say is that the workbooks that's on my website, it's for those who would love to track their expenses using a physical book, a tracker, or a planner. So if you guys are interested, you can also take a look at that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, guys, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Karen. Really, really do appreciate it. This session was completely free, right? Amazing. And I thank you for your giving back in this way. Really do appreciate it. So, guys, please show your support. Follow her on social media. Share this video with others so that we can just pay her back for what she has given us today for this session.
You know what's crazy though, Jermaine? One of the things that I had set out to do for this year is to give as much free budgeting sessions as much as possible because we all talk about investing, which is all nice and great. But once again, if you can't manage the money you're making right now, how are you going to manage more? So if you guys know of any organization that would love this type of information, send me an email or send me a DM, and we can get that. I can get that done.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And what I'll do as well, when we send out the newsletter with the links to this session, I'll encourage them to do that as well. That's a great idea. That would be an excellent recommendation. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. What I'll do here, since I know some persons may have some investing questions, if you want to stick around, Karen, you can. But maybe what I'll do is kind of shift to a Q&A for the investing side, because I know some of our community members may have investing questions that I can answer. So you can feel free to stick around. If not, if you don't like the investing questions, then I can let you go here.
So I actually have another session to jump right into right now. But if there's any more budgeting questions, you guys can just send me a DM on Instagram. But Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you for listening to me. And, I just really hope that I was able to impact you guys in some way, shape, or form. Jermaine, once again, I just want to thank you and Renee for having me.
Great. Thank you so much. I think one quick question before you go. I think Shane is asking if you have a basic Excel template.
Yes, I do. It is not on my website, but if you would love a basic the template, you can just send me a message and I can just send it to your email address. I do, yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'll be sure those get to you, and I'll place the links to contact Karen in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Have a great next session. Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, that if you have any investing questions, I can stay on for just 10 minutes. If you have questions, I'll just remove it from this clip when I'm done. Are there any investing questions that you wanted to ask before I go? So Shane, there's actually a portfolio tracker that we did on Wednesday. I did a video on building a portfolio tracker. So the Excel template that Karen just mentioned for budgeting, you can reach out to her for that. If you want to build a stock portfolio tracker, we did that on Wednesday. So check out that video. Ramin is asking, let me bring that up. What are my thoughts on using money market funds for emergency funds? I mean, I think that's okay. I think anything above the savings account would be a step up. So there's nothing wrong with that. Once you understand and you explore with that broker how quick you can get your funds, what's gonna be the potential resale value of those funds, etc. Once you understand all of that, I think it's okay. It's definitely better than the savings account, in my opinion. Well, so Henika is saying unit trust and mutual funds, that's completely fine. I think that the point is just to be invested. It really doesn't matter how you're investing now. The broader the base of the fund you're investing in, the lower the potential return. And what I mean by that is a unit trust or a mutual fund, it's not going to give you the kind of returns that you're seeing from some of the companies listed. So the best performing unit trust may do, I don't know, don't quote me on this, it may be somewhere between 20 to 30% per year, right? Which is still good, right? But you may see a stock doing 50% or 70% an individual stock. Right now, the chances of choosing the stock that's going to be 50 or 70% up has some it's not always guaranteed. But I think if it is that you're going to focus on unit trusts and mutual funds, do that. But at least maybe have maybe 20-30% of that capital going to individual stocks as well. I think that would help you to balance some of that low potential return of the unit trust. That's just my opinion, not financial advice. Yeah, because I mean, look at it. Now, I don't think our market should be used as a benchmark for the last few months. But look at Spurtree, it's up 200%. I think even JFP is up at least 20% the last time I checked. So if you think about it, that's within the span of a month. Spurtree is now 2 months. If I put it in a unit trust, that after the first 3 months of the year, that unit trust is maybe 5% up 10%, if I'm not mistaken. So the unit trust is good if it is that you want to ensure that your money is not going to lose significant value. But if you're looking for a greater return, the unit trust is not, I think, the best vehicle, which is why I think both. It's not either or, it's both. All right. Any other question? All right, guys, if you're here, if you have not joined us on Telegram, please feel free to do that. I'm going to share the link here. share the link to the Telegram group and I want to share it on the Facebook group as well. So for those who, okay, no, I think I covered that already. All right, so I'm not seeing any other questions. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really do ask you to go and show your support to Karen, so that we can just kind of thank her for the time that she committed here today. So when you say thoughts on Carib Cement, why do you always put me in this position asking me about specific companies when I'm not a financial advisor? I think they're a good company. I think that they've been getting some bad press, unfortunately, based on investor sentiment about the royalties. But I mean, I spoke about them briefly on the stock review, on the stock market update that we did on Friday, where they gave an update that wasn't really an update. So there's still no clarity around dividend. I don't think that's going to make those same investors who were unhappy any more happy. So we'll see what happens on Monday. But in terms of the company itself, I think it's one of those companies that long term will do very well. I'm hoping that the sentiment around them that has been formed in the last 6 months, I think over time that sentiment will reverse. But for now, I mean, unless they come out with something really good, I think I don't see that sentiment changing. But in terms of the company, what it does, how profitable it is, etc., I think those things are solid. I think the fundamentals are solid. So that wasn't an update at all, right? I don't think that was an update at all. Let me just say that. All right, cool. So, all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please do like the video. Really help us when you do that. And I'm just going through checking if there are any comments that I missed. All right, cool. So we will release a video on Tuesday. We have our stocks to watch Wednesday. And we're hopefully going to be able to have a meeting, an in-person meeting, but you have to be in our Telegram group to find out the details of the in-person meeting that we're going to have. So be sure to join us on Telegram. Yes, Shane, the weekly updates they're released every Friday. So if you just go to our channel videos, you'll see the one that I did Friday. The title of it is Carib Cement Dividend Update. So you can check that out. All right. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you next week.